This week's episode of the Totally Rad Show is brought to you by Squarespace.
Iverse Media.
And GoDaddy.
So was it me, or was this the craziest the floor has been? I don't remember it being that
I don't either.
sea of people.
I wonder if it's that
Technically,
thing.
it's not more crazy because they
Well, I
sold
know
out
on
last
paper
year
it's
and they
not more
sold out.
crazy.
But do we know if the sellout is the same number of people?
I think so.
Because I wonder if it's
the
like
same
the
feeling
thing
every
like
year.
that happens when I run the marathon, where like I run the marathon and it really hurts, and then I forget how much it hurts.
Yeah.
I mean, not that this hurts, but it's a lot of people, and did we just forget that it's that many people?
I didn't, but apparently you guys did.
Well, I always thought, well, it's a lot of people, it's crazy. And then every time I'm getting close to it, I'm like, but I remember like being in the booths and like looking through all the cool stuff and like buying stuff. And I was like, that doesn't seem like there must have been that many people. But then I now remember, losing everybody, and there's a lot of people.
Yeah, it's impossible to stay together.
Yes, that's the hard
It's
part.
constantly, okay, now where are you? I'm on 1700.
You ditched your mom, dude.
My mom ditched us.
That was awesome.
Beeline for something else.
Yeah, we started
right
with a
away.
big group of people, and then it just
whittled.
Like,
You can't have a big group of
whittling.
people walking around there. No way.
Three
Unless
is
you have
too
those
hard.
unless it's like that Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah, like the
where they're all
chain.
holding hands in the museum, the kids.
Yeah.
that would be adorable.
Yeah, and the other thing is you can't spend time focusing on what it is that you want to see. You always have to make sure that everybody's okay for like a stop and look.
Yeah.
Because most of it's like, we're going by, and it's like, gentlemen, would you mind if we do a stop and look right here?
Yeah.
Because there's a toy
Because
here
if
that
I
need
stop
to
and look, I will never see you again.
Yeah, if I just stop and look and I don't say anything, you guys are gonna find something. Maybe you stop and look and we meet up. Maybe. Yeah, it's.
When did they get here?
What?
Three rad guys living normal lives are recruited by a team of super spies. Their missions classified, but you may surmise they battle evil by quoting movie lines. Game and TV guides are used like knives to quell the rise of demon samurais. We know it sounds contrived, but we tell no lies. It's as the name implies, the Totally Rad Show.
Hello and welcome to the Totally Rad Show, episode number 123. I'm Alex Albrecht.
I'm Jeff Canada.
I'm Dan Trachtenberg.
Totally Rad Show.
And we are at Comic-Con!
Love it.
I think the true because I said Dan Trachtenberg.
Oh, you think this is because you said Dan Trachtenberg? Oh, that's
My
good.
last name.
What is the Totally Rad Show, Alex?
It's your weekly dose of all things rad. We go down to the local Comic-Con, watch everything possible to watch, which is impossible, and then regurgitate it back on this table.
And it comes out in boiled Hershey Kiss form.
Yeah, that's where Hershey's Kiss comes from. Vomit. It's horrible. We do want to thank a couple of things. If you guys probably all got an epic rendering of the three of us.
Usually, viewers of the show know that usually we have a
background.
user-submitted background behind us. We are unable to do that today because Comic-Con is really lacking in green screens.
Yeah, what up?
But
It's
we
all
have
3D, but no green screens. What am I, what?
something even better. The artist on X-Men Noir, Dennis Calero, drew us an amazing background,
Yeah,
and
it's
every
epic.
single person here, can you hold up your background if you have it?
Epic.
Incredible! So that's our background for this week.
Yes.
Thank you, Dennis. You are
Thank you, Dennis.
amazing.
Love it. Nice, I love it. All right,
Let's do this.
let's get into the show, shall we? Yeah.
This week in movies, we are talking about a lot of huge movie news
Huge.
announcements.
Hugus and footage.
Footage. No
We've seen like
proper-
6 movies spliced together.
no proper movie review. We're gonna try and get through as much as we can about all the crazy stuff that was shown and announced in Hall H. So I'm gonna start by bringing up to you guys
The big baddie in the room.
some of the things. No, I'm gonna bury the lead a little bit.
Oh, we're going for the stockings before the present. Hello.
Some of the cool stuff we saw was Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland
Yeah.
and Terry Gilliam's Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus.
True.
Discuss.
Discuss.
Factual.
Jews versus Christians. Discuss. So this is a big deal because both these guys, A, have never been to Comic-Con.
Which is shocking in and of itself that Tim Burton and Terry Gilliam have never been to Comic-Con. Doesn't that seem odd? Thank you. For
And
the
I
nice
wanted to talk about
murmur
them-
of acceptance.
I wanted to talk about them together because I think they both are very linked in my mind as being sort of the pioneers of surreal visualism, or
Yes.
Or crazy effed up movies.
Right.
Is what I'm saying.
They really
and
started
it's-
the acid movement.
They really, between the two of them, they really have been making Alice in Wonderland stories their whole careers. From Beetlejuice to Big Fish to
Yeah.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory for Tim Burton, and Terry Gilliam doing Time Bandits.
Yeah.
Baron Munchausen, which is my favorite.
I
Terry
love
Gilliam
Baron
movie.
Munchausen. Which, by the way, character, last name Albrecht. What up? Yes, Albrecht.
And his last bunch of movies. There all really are Alice in Wonderland / Wizard of Oz flicks.
Yeah.
So we got to see a teaser trailer for Alice in Wonderland, which is actually online. So many of you guys probably also saw it as well, or you were in Hall H, so you've seen
I thought it was the one that I thought it was different than.
Well,
the
a little
one
different. Well, I don't know.
online. Yeah. Research.
Peter Schrader knows. I don't know.
Research.
So what did you guys think of both of these movies?
Well,
Go ahead, Alex. Go ahead.
Alex.
thank you. Yeah, dude, first off, Alice in Wonderland, I think, blew me away. I mean, how could it not? I will say I was a little disappointed in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It didn't quite scratch the itch that I wanted it to scratch, which was sort of right behind my knee.
Alice in Wonderland in 3D, by the way.
Yeah, the 3D stuff is really cool, but that to me isn't going to sell a movie. Because for me, every movie's coming out. I mean, My Bloody Valentine was in 3D.
But
so the technology of that is like, okay, cool. It adds to the movie, but I'm not going to first off, there's no effing way I would miss seeing Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland because it wasn't in 3D. So I'm excited because I feel like this is what I wanted Charlie and the Chocolate Factory to be, which is a story that I know and love, seen through the eyes of a crazy person. But in a way that sort of connects with what I believe is the sort of Tim Burton-esque-ness. Because I felt like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was just too kiddie, sweet, weird, and I mean that's
Like
all things that I want in this one. But I don't know. So I'm more excited about this. I think I love Terry Gilliam. I love almost all of his movies. I don't know if this movie is really going to do it for me, just sort of what we saw of it. But again, it's Terry Gilliam, so I'm going to go see it, and I'll probably love it. That was as vague as I can be, so there you go. Next.
I just had a thought while you were talking, because I wasn't listening to what you were saying. And that thought was, man, I'm hungry. No. It's interesting that these few Tim Burton movies that he's done, Planet of the Apes, Alice in Wonderland, and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which are ostensibly remakes of things we've seen other ways. It's very similar to how I go see a production of a Shakespeare play. It's not the story that is the interesting take. It's the design.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the overall idea that propels the story. And I think that's kind of a shame, because as much as I dig the Tim Burton aesthetic and his mind at work in these movies, and especially the way he takes Johnny Depp and forms him into a new human being in all these movies, that's really fascinating and interesting to watch. But I would much prefer seeing him work on something new and original, like Big Fish. Yeah, somebody whispered, yeah. Feel free to agree with me at any time.
and Imaginarium.
Now that on the other hand is you know, it's like crawling inside Terry Gilliam's dream. You know, it looks really cool. And I commented to you while we were watching the presentation is how crazy is it? You know, this is the last performance by Heath Ledger, and very famously, you know, he died while they were making it. And famously, they got Johnny Depp,
Jude Law,
and
Colin
Farrell to all three guys to replace one guy. And how crazy is it that the one movie that he didn't get to finish is the one movie where it makes the most sense that other actors can play his part, because it's so bizarre and it's like this through the looking glass idea that it actually can work.
Yeah.
You know?
Thank you for making my Alice in Wonderland
Yes.
metaphor work. Yeah.
You're welcome.
that made it work? No, I'm just kidding. Horrible.
I feel very similarly about both these flicks, about the footage that we saw. I realized that I really haven't enjoyed a Tim Burton movie in a long while. I love the last 20 minutes of Big Fish.
Yeah.
But the journey of that movie and his other recent movies, I've always felt very disconnected. And the same thing with Terry Gilliam's. I mean, I didn't bother to see Tideland, and Brothers Grimm was a major disappointment to me. And I feel like when I was younger, the visuals were so incredible in both these filmmakers' works that was enough for me. This story didn't need to be good, though they had really great stories in their earlier films. Now it doesn't. It's really, all the stuff we saw was incredible looking, and I would love to have any of the frames from those films as a photograph on my wall. But I don't really. I feel like I'm gonna be very restless and bored watching those movies.
Yeah. And I actually really liked. I was gonna
Brothers
say
Grimm. I know.
I was gonna say the Brothers Bloom, but also,
You did also. True.
I did.
All right. So
Moving right along.
moving
We got a
right
lot to
along.
cover.
Last year, the big, huge deal was seeing footage from Tron 2.
Well, for you it was.
Yeah, for some people on the panel.
This year, Disney brought Tron back, showing the same footage that they showed last year, but in 3D. Some concept art from what they've done now that they've wrapped shooting, and a sequence of the film that takes place outside the Tronverse. They've now,
He's just
pointing
coining,
at it.
he's
Yeah.
just coining left, right, and sideways.
So the title, it's now titled Tron Legacy, and I think that title reflects the fact that the story is about Jeff Bridges' son, who his father has gone missing for all these years since '82 or '89. They kept saying that the movie came out in.
Well, no, they said that they were going to be flashing back to '89.
Right.
Which is after
later,
Flynn
yeah.
had
Later
been in.
events.
Right.
Because of the second gen light cycle.
Exactly.
Were you at the panel?
Yes.
I don't. Okay.
And it's about this kid trying to find his dad in this also very Alice in Wonderland-like tale.
Literally.
So I'm curious what you guys thought of the non-Tron world-like footage, and what you guys thought of what we're seeing about Tron that I was so hyped on last year.
First of all, I'm very disappointed that they're calling it Tron Legacy.
What?
I thought that it was so. Yeah. Feel free to agree with me as I said.
Why? No. I mean,
Was the logo with the 2 as the O? Was that official?
No.
well, guess not.
See, because that would have been. I think that was so cool. Was that just some sort of internet thing?
No. It was them sort of.
So it was official.
They were actually calling it Tron at one point, and then Tron 2, and then,
Right.
But it was never. They never said this is the title.
Well, clearly, but I mean, but it was an official thing that they put out. It was a
Yeah, it wasn't like a
iconography
fan
that they produced.
made it.
Yeah, and I thought that was
think.
awesome. I love the idea of it being called Tron 2. Very simple, very like. Or even Tron 2.0, which I think was the video game.
Was the video game,
yeah.
And I love that logo, and so I'm a little disappointed. Tron Legacy just kind of falls a little limp for me. I said limp. It's okay. You can giggle. Let's go. Let's go. The footage that we saw, which was all not in the Tron world, it was very mundane.
So it was him the son arriving at Flynn's arcade, the arcade from the first movie that opens the first movie, and him walking through the now dusty old arcade, walking up to an old Tron 82 Tron arcade machine, and basically stepping through the locations, the actual locations from the first flick. And then going through this like rabbit hole.
And
I gotta say, I got the
Bruce
feeling from it.
Well, but also Bruce
Interesting.
Boxleitner was the opening monologue too.
Cool.
which I was excited. And I was like, why is nobody cheering that Bruce Boxlight Tron is doing the voiceover right now, people?
It felt very old-fashioned to me, and not in a good way. It felt very acty. You know, like he was doing this.
The VO,
like,
you mean, or the guy?
Camera doesn't go that way.
you know, one of those.
Yeah, I've seen it.
That's cool.
No, I mean that type.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I love
What
the
did you think
design
of
stuff. The design stuff all looks amazing, and I can't wait to see it. And I think the movie will be cool. But that part just didn't. Yeah.
Mr. Albrecht?
Yeah, I agree about the stealthy acting. However, the nostalgia of the moment of seeing Flynn's arcade again, being back in that world, the music coming out of the jukebox, just felt like, yeah, I miss this. I'm excited to see where this goes. And then to hear them actually talk, I mean, less about the footage, but then to hear them talk about how they're really kicking up the gaming stuff, and that, you know, they had that 16-person tournament that is everybody playing at the same time, and then as people lose, it like reorganizes itself into this other, you know, 8-player tournament thing. And you know,
the
my
disc
problem
stuff
is
was cool, looked really cool.
Yeah, the disc stuff is cool. The problem is that at the end of the day, I think this movie is going to turn into just a fully CG movie. You know, which is okay, but you know,
I don't know.
when you
They
have-
showed that acrobat dude in uber slow motion with
Right.
a phantom camera and 1,000 frames per second, doing like the craziest disc throwing you ever did to see.
Yeah, but wasn't, I mean, I'm assuming that was for mocap, not for
No, he didn't have any
actual
balls
footage.
on him. I mean,
Eyebrow humor. So anyway, either way, I mean, watching the Tron 2 footage that you saw last year, didn't really give. You know, here's the thing. Let me just say this. Since when can light cycles go in swervy lines?
I kind of agree,
The
dude.
death.
No.
No.
Kind of
Listen
agree. I
to
disagree
me.
with
Wait,
this.
listen to me.
All right.
The thing that made those things so scary, in my opinion, was that they turn on a dime and they're going exactly 90 degrees the other
Still do
direction.
that. Still do that.
No, they don't. They go like this. Woo!
They
I'm
do
gonna
other
bump you.
things now.
I'm gonna bump you. Look at me bumping. It's a not like what the I don't even know what I just did, but I'm so glad I'm alive. Like that's a light cycle.
I agree with
Not
you.
like look at me going through and look at the candy ribbon of the thing and
A
bunny
smattering
hopping
of
it.
applause.
At least 7 people agree with us.
Who here saw
anyway.
the Tron footage this year or last year or anything? Oh, okay. So
not
the
many.
applause is from everyone who had seen the footage.
That's the same amount of people that agree
Okay.
with us.
All right, I am still excited. The people watching the show at home will probably be seeing some of the concept art, and if you guys didn't get to see the footage, you will be able to see the concept art. And the thing you must know is that it seems pretty clear that the final film will look like the concept art, which is never the case. Lord of the Rings concept art, that movie did not look like the concept art, and I think the footage, the 3D footage, looks exactly like the drawings, the concept art. So that gets me stoked. I loved the live action stuff in the beginning. I didn't love the look. It's the production design and the cinematography are all very gritty and like very Fight Club-y. But it's all shot on video and it feels very clean to me. There's a
When you walked
disconnect.
up, there was like that perfect cobweb that doesn't exist in
A
nature.
little too clean.
Yeah.
A little too clean. Over stylized, but I did love that he was walking through all the locations from the I would
bro, I
be
was
happy
there.
with Karate Kid and a young
Karate adult.
a young dude is walking through the golf and stuff again, and I would take any '80s remake and just have the dude walking through all the old locations, like remembering the times, like Big Fish. I would love that.
Dan Trachtenberg's strolling.
So I'm stoked still. Okay. Moving on. Here's the lead. So
I'm surprised you haven't asked us what our favorite thing was, but are you gonna do that?
That's gonna be the end.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
I have a favorite.
Big deal. How many of you guys were able to check out some of Jim Cameron's Avatar?
Interesting.
You can drop some knowledge on some
Interesting.
people. How many of you heard of Avatar?
PR machine is working
So
correctly.
I'm going to tell you guys what James Cameron told us, which I thought was the most incredible way
At a very
to
private
set
tea
up-
party.
to set up the footage he showed. He told Hall H, he said,
Dan, I'm from the future.
James Cameron, who did Aliens, Terminator, Terminator 2, The Abyss, La Di Blue.
A little movie called Titanic.
Every movie he's made is an incredible commercial success and artistic success, critic success. Said to the audience, how many of you ever wanted to go to another planet? 6,800 cheers. And then he says, who wants to go to Pandora? Right? Cheering sounds?
It's amazing.
6,800 cheers. And then he shows this footage.
24 minutes of footage.
Alex, we were on the radio this morning. I thought you did a really good job describing the premise of Avatar, so why don't you repeat performance?
It was at 7:15 this morning, right? I was there?
Alex can't repeat what he said 2 minutes ago.
I know. I don't remember what I said 2 minutes
Tell
ago.
these people about James Cameron's Avatar.
So basically, James Cameron's Avatar is set on a near distant future where we have discovered.
I like near distant. That's good.
Not so distant.
It's
future.
an optical illusion of future.
It is. So not in the none too distant future, our Earth has discovered, humanity has discovered another planet that has life on that planet. And in order for us to travel to that planet and explore that planet, they've created this way of syncing your brain up to a grown avatar, which is basically a body of an alien species that we can control with our minds in order to explore the planet without being, screwing it all up. And so you get to, guys show up and they go, hey, we're hopping in these weird alien things, let's go for a ride. And then they go for a ride on the alien planet. Probably not as concise as 7:15, just have coffee.
Okay, so now what did you think of the footage?
Well, here, okay, I thought two things, and I'll start with this extremely positive stuff, which is, there is no doubt in my mind that it is unequivocally the best CG that has ever existed. I mean, it is amazingly gorgeous. The way that this planet and these aliens are rendered, you very soon forget that you're watching CG, and not because you're watching toys. Like in Toy Story, halfway through I forgot that I was watching CG, but that's just because it was a cool story and talking toys, whatever. You really think that these things exist and are tangible. So amazing, and the visual effects are stunning across the board. I mean, like sitting on a computer with these weird 3D images, and the guy just like swipes it and starts walking away with a handheld version, and everybody in the whole place was like, "What did they have to just do?" Oh. That said, so I think it's going to be an amazing movie. It's going to be super fun, gorgeous. That said, there has been a metric crap ton of hype about this movie. There has been a metric crap ton about all the digital technology and all this stuff that you've never seen before in a movie. And at the end of the day, I wholeheartedly disagree with that. This is a CG movie, made entirely in CG. It is the best CG that ever has existed. But at the end of the day, when somebody says to me, there's technology in this that you have never seen, and I go in and it's basically a really good version of the Final Fantasy movie, I go, I've seen this technology, it's called computers. Yeah, they might be using new software that makes the face like wrinkle every millisecond or whatever the hell it is that makes it look so goddamn gorgeous, because it is goddamn gorgeous. I mean, let's call it spade a spade. This is unbelievable footage. And this movie is going to be unbelievably gorgeous. But I think it is incorrect, because my perception of this thing was I was going to see crap that doesn't exist. Crap, like half puppet, half CG with like a tram shoved up some guy's ass. Like stuff that nobody would do.
Actually, Alex, I know a website you can go to that has that.
So the good side was amazing, stunning. It's going to be great. I don't think it's going to be a huge box office success. What's that? A huge box office success, just because I think that personally, it's going to be an amazing film, but the hype doesn't, in my case, live up to it, because the technology is just Final Fantasy plus render time.
Do you agree, Jeffrey?
I actually agree quite a lot with that.
Thank you, Jeff. You can agree anytime you want with Jeff. Only when he agrees with me.
It really is. I wouldn't use the Final Fantasy comparison. It's like Beowulf.
Yeah.
People who saw Beowulf, this Robert Zemeckis' Beowulf. We may or may not have seen that. There's a portion of the movie, the first stuff that we saw, the first bit of the stuff we saw was this incredible 3D. Now, we haven't really talked much about this, that in Hall H they retrofitted it with glasses and 3D. And Avatar is supposed to be the groundbreaking 3D movie to take 3D into real cinema.
Bring it back into
relevance.
2D.
Yeah.
That's how good it is.
And you
It
know
comes
what?
back-
And you know what? It was the best 3D I have ever seen. It was spectacular 3D. And it is, someone said it better than I, that he's treating it not like 3D as a gimmick of like, woo. He's treating it like it's lighting. Like it's a way to render a scene more vividly. And that really came across in that live action stuff we saw. And I was so excited. There were shots and like, this kind of looks like aliens, you know? There's like this paramilitary future metal, awesome. And then at a certain point, all the actors go away. And all the sets go away. And what you see is, as Alex kept saying, phenomenally gorgeous. The design of the world is this incredible black-lit, iridescent, underwater but on the surface of the planet, beautiful, tropical landscape. It's really something you've never seen before in a movie. And that is stunning. And there was a moment, especially with the female character, of the female Na'vi, which is the big 10-foot tall alien. There was a few shots where it looked like the CG was prosthetics to me.
Yeah.
It looked that real. But I couldn't help thinking, this is a terribly risky project for him. It's not a guaranteed home run. Because if people are pissed about the level of CG in Star Wars, for instance, this goes far beyond that. This is, at a certain point, the live action movie stops and Beowulf starts. You know, the movie which all
very good version
We
of
saw
that.
select scenes.
I'm sure it's going to go back and forth. I'm sure it's going to go back and forth, but there is clearly large sections of the movie that are like that.
Yes. I feel like I was watching a totally different.
I was blown away, and I can't wait to see the movie.
That's
but
the
I think
thing.
it's risky.
I hear you. For me, what I walked away from that footage feeling like earlier that day we saw Robert Zemeckis' next movie, A Christmas Carol, which you guys are referencing Beowulf, which is the one he did just before, and that to me felt like a new CG movie from Robert Zemeckis. And people were like, when are you gonna go back to live action? And I came away from the Avatar footage thinking.
Feel free to agree with Dan at any time.
And I came away from the Avatar footage feeling like that made Christmas Carol look like Steamboat Willie. I didn't think that I thought I was watching Jurassic Park, I thought I was seeing aliens. I thought I was seeing Jim Cameron's next movie, and it was sci-fi and fantasy, which by the way is, I mentioned that on the E3 show, and seeing this elf-like creature with a bow and arrow, and that's the kind of warfare we're gonna get in this James Cameron flick is pretty rad. Just seeing that tease. And this really is the next James Cameron movie in that it has, as Jeff mentioned, the military stuff. It has the science versus nature themes. And it has like that, he has a wonderful way of ushering you into a world, and all his movies have protagonists that are just like the viewer of the movie, completely new to the world. And this story has this built-in mechanic to the story that is perfect for that. And I just could not be more thrilled. Like I said, Christmas Carol looked like the next CG movie, and this looked like the next movie that happened to be mostly done in CG.
We can keep talking about Avatar, but can I tell you what I'm way more excited about?
Yeah.
Where the Wild Things Are. If someone told me today that I could only watch one of those two movies, I would not hesitate for a second.
Interesting.
I agree.
Thank you. Good. Feel free.
Alex, what was your favorite thing from?
Boy, I literally, as Jeff was talking and I wasn't listening, I was thinking to myself, this is gonna come to me next. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, I was theoretically blown away by a lot of stuff, but there wasn't the one thing that I was like, I want to watch that right now. Like, I don't care what the next thing is. I don't want to see it. I want to watch the rest of that. There really wasn't anything that did that for me, which is sort of unfortunate.
That's incredibly sad. We saw so much.
I know. It might have been
But
eye
can I
fatigue.
just say for a second about where the wild, or did you want to save that for later?
It's going to be much later when we review the movie in like 2 weeks.
It's not that much later. What about you? What was your favorite
I
thing?
just want to say before we wrap things up that we did see some of the Nightmare on Elm Street. And I was freaking terrified.
Yeah, it's
Really?
I was terrified.
I didn't hear you yell at one point.
We'll have to talk more about that on later shows.
Yeah.
But,
Totes and Goats.
That's
Good-
movies this
good
week.
movies.
All right, there has been tons of movie stuff, tons of comic book stuff and TV stuff at Comic-Con, but there's also a lot of video game stuff. Ooh. So in video games this week, yeah, woo!
Epic.
1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve Boone, or what's the guy who did Mortal Kombat?
Mortal Kombat, yeah. Ed Boon.
Ed Boon.
All right, so the video games we saw, there's lots of stuff on the show floor. There's things that are being shown at parties and stuff. The stuff we're going to focus on is sort of the comic book related video games. We went to Activision's party and saw Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2. And that's a sequel to the top-down sort of isometric 3D multiplayer team superhero game. It's kind of one of those old school beat 'em ups, you know? Mm-hmm. But the big thing about Ultimate Alliance is that you get to play all of the Marvel characters 4 at a time, and you can switch between them as you go. And the thing they're bringing to the sequel is that they have these incredible character combination power-up moves, which they had in the last game, but this game they're really upping the ante in that every single character in the game, and there are a lot, every single character and every single other character, each individual one has a unique combination attack. So none of the combinations of the characters are repeated, and all of them are generated by what their powers are. So it's really cool. The set of moves that you can do when you power up are really inventive and cool because it's all, you know, you have characters that would never team up, you know, in a situation where it's like, how would those powers complement each other? And they figured out ways to do it.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, the Human Torch and Captain America. If you team, you know, Human Torch like shoots fire at Captain America's shield, and he reflects it against out into multiple enemies. It's really fun, cool stuff. And then, of course, the characters that have team ups that you would think of do stuff that you would think of, like, you know, Colossus.
The whole throwing Wolverine into
Yeah.
a mass of enemies.
Right.
That crap happened. And we were there.
So we all played the first Ultimate Alliance, right? It's
Nope.
You didn't?
Nope.
Oh.
Here.
But you played this one.
Yep.
For as long as 20 minutes.
Yep.
So what is your first impression of the build that they showed here at Comic-Con?
You know, I actually thought it was really cool. I thought being able to sort of hot swap between the different characters as you're playing, I thought was really cool. I think that they did this really cool leveling mechanic where you can pick up power-ups and you can sort of level as you level. You hit pause basically on your guy, and then your guy becomes AI and continues fighting. So the game continues happening while you're leveling up the guy, and then you kick back in, and now you're the guy again, which I thought was really cool because I was worried about how do you know, especially with the big power-up mechanic like that. You know, at the end of the day, it's sort of a hack and slash. I mean, it was fun.
Yeah.
It was really fun. I, you know, had a Jack and Coke and was jamming on X. You know what I mean? Like.
I know a website you can go to.
The button X. The button X. The X button. So it was pretty cool. But you know, I mean, for friends to come over and drop in and hang out, it was pretty cool. But I mean, wasn't super blown away. Yeah.
Daniel?
Yeah. I thought the graphics were gorgeous.
Much improved from the first game.
Very like
Yes, I've heard that.
smooth. Like the frame rate or just the way it moved was really buttery. But I couldn't really clock into the game. I mean, it was a little bit hard to all take in 20 minutes and the scenario in which we were playing. But what I was missing, I think that the only thing that sucks me into this kind of game of beat 'em up or hack and slash is the combo system, the fight mechanic. And like Alex said, I mean, I was just sort of hitting one button or hitting a few buttons, but there was no like skill involved. It was just
It wasn't
the
like
doing of it.
I love doing X, X, B, X, and
No.
then does that thing.
Well,
As the
I mean,
game
that's
goes
sort of
on-
this kind of genre. This game it's one of those beat 'em ups, and you can have a choice to make those power ups and use your special attacks, and that's the sort of the style of the game.
Yeah, I'm
It's like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you know?
yes, that's true. That's true. But aren't there beat 'em ups? I feel like I liked something recently that I was like, oh, that was really fun, and it was that kind of game. But there was a way in which I fought that was really cool. And does anyone remember it? Double Dragon. From back in the day. Wolverine.
Yeah.
Wolverine.
I mean, theoretically, it was a single player, but yeah, that could have been.
Yeah.
I mean, that mechanic with 4 people
Exactly.
jumping in and out,
There you
I would have
go.
jumped in and
Thank
out
you,
of
sir.
that.
Wolverine wins. All right. so
Corner.
No prize. We're giving out no prizes.
Yeah, wins nothing.
Thank you, Marvel.
What did you think?
I'm super stoked. I love these. I love this type of game, and it is a great game to play with someone sitting next to you. But they did a great job of being able to just the combinations of all the characters is fantastic. And you said the graphics are great, and it looks like the physics system and the destructibility of the environment and the number of things that are
Well, and the
physics-based.
waves of enemies too. I mean, they did not skimp
Yeah.
on throwing people at you, which is awesome.
And it's supposedly based on Marvel's Civil War. There you go. Which was Heroes versus Heroes, which is really a cool storyline to base a video game around. Unfortunately, what we saw really didn't look to be anything related to that, but it was a very small slice of the game.
Yeah.
We also saw Singularity,
Yes.
which is not a comic book game, but it is another game from Activision, and it's this time mechanic where it's a first-person shooter, but you have this device that allows you to roll back or push forward individual objects in time. So if you walk up and you see a box that is all broken, you can rewind its individual timeline to a point at which it was solid. So you're not turning back all the time in the universe, you're just turning back the time of specific objects.
And you then break that box
And
to
take
get ammo.
its goodness.
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Or I don't know what I think.
Yeah, for instance,
Ah!
I don't know what I think.
Gee, I wonder.
Until 5 minutes from now when I do.
Somebody needs to
And one
shit
sequence
Dan.
of the demo we saw was you walk around a certain point and there's a stairwell that's kind of broken down and you can't get through it. And so you age it farther to have it more broken down, walk through the hole that you just created, and then it's sort of a dead end, and then you turn around and go back in time in the same stairwell until when it was complete, and you can walk up those stairs.
Yeah.
So, kind of clever stuff. You clearly are high on this game.
Yes, I love that. I mean, that just way of solving puzzles is awesome. That science fiction concept is cool. Can't wait for the movie or TV show.
Well, it
based
looked
on
like the
this.
storytelling in the game was heavily based around him being able to see back in time and see sort of ghost images of the way it used to be.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, the cool thing for me is that it doesn't seem like that's the only thing to this game. Like, I enjoyed Time Shift, but that was sort of the only reason to play that game was the time mechanic. This felt like there's a machine gun in the game that felt exactly like a machine gun in Call of Duty. It wasn't a poorly designed first-person shooter that was slapped together just so they could have this new mechanic. It felt like a really good game that also has this rad
Mechanic.
Gimmick.
No, not more than a gimmick, I think.
More than a gimmick?
Yeah.
All right. Alex, more than a gimmick?
Yeah, I have to.
More than a feeling?
It's a little bit more than that. I am hooked on that feeling. No, yeah, I have to say, I totally agree with Dan. I actually forgot.
Feel free to agree with me.
Anytime.
Not gonna happen, Dan.
Love it.
I've already won them over to my side.
Yeah, I totally forgot at times that I could move stuff back and forth through time. I was just playing a first-person shooter that I really enjoyed, and then every once in a while I'd stop and I'd be like, this is the end of the game? Like, I can't do anything. And I was like, I see some stairs. Whoop. You know what I mean? Like, it was like one of those things where I was like, wait. And then I picked up the gun of all guns, which is this weird-ass pistol that you shoot and you can trace the bullets as they fly. But not only that, when you reload it, it, like, folds down and these, like, Nerf arrows like fall out of it in the most satisfying way ever. It was one of those things where this game designer was like, people are gonna get hooked on reloading this gun. So I loved it. You know, you can't really get the experience of the story when you see people like, and you're at a party and you're like, I can't. Would everybody please be quiet? Singularities are happening. And then like crazy stuff happens on the screen. You're like, I hope that's not bad things. And then you're like, oh, good, I'm walking again. So I had a blast. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I came away completely the opposite of you guys. I knew you were right. I was really not excited about this.
Here we go. No, I'm just kidding.
You know, it's unreal.
Was it better than Avatar? No. Or worse than Avatar?
Listen, don't get me wrong. Avatar looks awesome.
I know.
And don't talk about movies in the video game section. You know, it's Unreal Engine, and it looks very Bioshock. Don't you think? Design-wise? No? Yes?
No,
you
it's not
got
underwater,
squinty face.
but
It's dilapidated. I mean, it's a dilapidated world. Fallout 3, you could say, too.
No, it doesn't look anything like Fallout. It doesn't have the gray. It's that blue and green Bioshocky, rounded edges, Unreal Engine.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep talking until someone agrees.
They've never seen the game. What is that?
No, but they love me. They support me in a way you guys never will.
That's horrible.
And I will pander to them to the day I die.
Clearly, you're gonna start throwing Hershey's Kisses soon.
Yes, I
Feel
will.
it. No, don't.
I have to say, I've noticed each time I change seats, one is missing, and I haven't had any yet.
I haven't had one yet.
I think Alex just eats one at each station as he passes on.
That's how I know where I'm going. It's my breadcrumb.
Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, it must be video game section, South Street chocolate.
Anywho. It did feel like a gimmick to me. It felt, and I hope I'm wrong. I mean, we, like I said, played a very small portion of the game, but I didn't like the fact that it was like dead air, dead environment. Oh, the one item that can be affected by time. Dead environment. Oh, I guess I need to affect that one item that can be affected by time. You know, it felt very.
I hear that.
Oh, good. My
that.
voice is amplified, so I'm hoping
No, I
everybody
mean, it wasn't like
It wasn't like everything, and then you had to be like, I found the thing that if I do it, it works.
It's not like in Half-Life 2 with a gravity gun where you can grab
Exactly.
anything in the
It feels like a
environment.
living, breathing world in that game.
It just feels like there are just specific things that you can affect.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that.
Cool.
I don't either.
All right.
right.
I think we kind of agree.
Well, let's. What?
He's got his cup. He's got his cup going.
He's got his car.
No, I'm just stretching. All right, so we are here at Comic-Con covering television. How many people out there like television? Me too. So first off, there's a lot of TV news going on. There's a lot of great TV panels. We're all going to go see the Lost panel tomorrow.
Yeah, it's sad that we didn't get to see that before our show.
It is. But we got to do some good things. Although I missed the Prisoner panel. How many people out there like the original Prisoner TV show? Yeah, this is why we're not talking about it, because it's like I think maybe 4 people watched that TV show back in the day.
It's it's not recent. It's quite.
No, but AMC is doing a new miniseries based on it with Jim Caviezel and Ian McKellen, and it's going to be awesome. So just fold that in. So we had the opportunity of coming in for preview night on Wednesday, and we had the ability to see 2 pilots, which we're going to talk about today. The remake of the miniseries V. And a comic book adaptation for television called Human Target.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Anybody read Human Target out there? The comic book? Oh man. Oh boy. No. That's okay. It's cool.
What?
Maybe after
That wasn't a lot of people.
It wasn't.
Oh, I thought you were looking at my notes and you're like, that lady's name is spelled wrong. So V, one of the things that we actually, Dan and I found really interesting about V is that 2 of the stars of Firefly are in V. Oh, well, they're in the pilot.
One is in the show, one is just in the pilot.
Oh, I was hoping that was going to continue, but that's all right. So the pilot we saw, 2 Firefly stars. Morena
Baccarin.
Morena
played
Baccarin.
Inara in Firefly.
Yes. And
Wash.
Wash.
Applaud that.
And Wash. Alan Tudyk. But also stars Elizabeth Mitchell from Lost. And Scott Wolf from White Squall. So,
From Double Dragon, the movie.
From Double Dragon, yeah. So, for those of you who don't know, V was the scariest miniseries ever created by man when Alex was a child and would have to watch the commercials after V and before whatever the hell was after V in order to calm down to be able to go to bed. Amazing. And that was probably in like 84 or 80 something, 83 or something like that. So, V is a show about the day that aliens arrive on the Earth. And they all say, hey, yo, chill. I know, we probably killed a lot of folks with our, engines and stuff. We're here for friendship. See, we friendsies. Look how pretty we are. And then later throughout the show, you start to see some underpinnings of, a they live kind of deal
Quite
going
literally, layers are revealed.
Layers are revealed with pipes. So, we got a chance to watch the pilot, and I'm going to go to you, Danzig. What did you think of V?
The first half of this pilot, I felt very differently than I did the second half of this pilot.
Interesting, do tell.
The first half felt very TV-y.
There's a lot of E's in there.
It struck me that the drama, it didn't feel like the people writing this show had something to say about the stuff that happens between a mother and a son, and a dude and his wife or lover or whatever that relationship was with Morris Chestnut. It felt like they had this cool alien story they wanted to tell, but they needed to make it dramatic, so they put on a TV-ish drama between mother and son, and
Right. Right.
that really irritated me. The special effects I thought were a lot of fun, actually. The way this invasion is shown, there's shooting through the reflections of that building, that was really cool.
Yeah.
But by the second half, I must say that stuff happens that I thought was going to happen the end of season 1.
Yeah.
There are so many awesome, I need to say one other thing. I know a lot about V, despite having never seen V. Which, I'm glad there were no groans. Excellent, perfect.
That's okay. Silent. He'll take silence in
So
that.
really, I am totally stoked. The only other thing that bothered me is that I thought there could be no word in TV more irritating than frack, but V.
Yeah, the V's.
How would you ever abbreviate visitor to V? You would never in a million years. So
And it has supposed to happen in like
that
a
may
week.
have happened in the original, but there was also feathered hair in the original, and they didn't bring that back for this. So it's
Which
totally-
is a shame, a crying shame.
it is still cool to call the show V and just refer to them as visitors. You don't
Right.
need to have it to be like that moment in The Perfect Storm where they go, "It was a perfect storm." You know? So
Love it. And that was actually a perfect storm. So it seems like you were hesitant or
But in.
not liking, and then now you're like, I want to see more.
Yeah,
All right,
totally.
good. Jeffy.
I agree with Dan. I
feel free to.
Yeah, I agree that the beginning was a little rocky, and the end was a little rocky too. It was I meant that was terrible.
The sequel to Rocky.
Yes. Yeah.
Horrible.
Like you said, this might be one of the best premises of a show ever, in the sense that there is literally anywhere to go. You can go. It can be political, it can be religious, it can be about just simple human being stories, it can be an action adventure tale, the idea of, and it's a great metaphor, obviously, of this sleeper cell idea of these aliens that are right there under the surface, and do we trust them or do we not? Are they good or are they bad? Some of them are good, some of them are bad.
Yeah.
It's the new who's a Cylon,
Yeah.
is who's a V.
Yeah.
And it's got
He's using the slang.
you know when I say
It affects
pretty good.
people.
Shut the frack up.
Nice. It's definitely a show that I'm going to keep watching when it comes on.
Yeah.
And hopefully it really could go either way. It could be more like the beginning and be really kind of feel trite and poorly written.
And trying to do the emotional connection stuff and not really doing it.
Yeah, like that scene with the mother and the son where she's like, "You need to talk to me."
Yeah.
It didn't feel appropriate at all, and
It felt very inappropriate right here, too.
I love it. Well, I will say that I pretty much agree with you guys right down the line on it. Maybe I was a little hyped about it because I loved V when I was a kid.
it sounded like you didn't. You were scared of it.
No, I loved that it scared me so good. But yeah, the first half was just like, oh man, this is it. Like everything felt like a set. Like they were like, all right, you wheel the wheelchair guy right as the camera's panning up, but not in like a good way. It was like there clearly are only 4 people that you could hire as extras for this church shot, and it's like, well, dress one up like a homeless guy and dress the other guy up like a business guy, and then have them switch for no reason, and then it'll look like 4 people. So there was a lot of like, uh-oh at the beginning, and then about halfway through it turned into like the show that I'm hoping it will become throughout the series, which is just badass and some cool stuff. I will say though, I'm a big fan of Elizabeth Mitchell. I don't know if she should be trying to do karate. No, seriously. Some people can pull off karate or whatever the hell they did, and some people can't. And it's okay if you can't. You can hire people who can. So I don't like it when they force people to be like, now they're martial arts experts. You know what I mean? It's like, there's some, Anyway, little nitpicky thing. I'm gonna watch it. Very good. Gentlemen, on to Human Target.
Yes.
So does anybody know anything about Human Target? I mean, obviously it's not V.
We already determined that no one reads it.
But I mean, the TV show, anybody following the news about it? Okay, so Human Target stars Mark Valley, who you may have seen in the
Fringe.
first little bits about Fringe, but he's sort of the guy who's in every pilot. He is. Him and one of the guys from V, who is in the 4400, is one of those guys that you just see in every pilot. And also Jackie Earle Haley. Is in the series. Of course, he was Rorschach and is going to be Freddy Krueger, which is epic. And Chai McBride from Pushing Daisies. So Human Target is, did you just spill?
No.
Somebody else did. So Human Target is theoretically maybe a superhero story. We don't know yet. There was some mystical things at the beginning and then all sort of faded away. But it's basically this guy who puts himself in harm's way for wealthy people who are going to be killed. So if somebody gets a threat, they go to this guy and they go, dude, I got a death threat. I'd like you to step in and take that for the team.
Like some sort of human target.
Yes, like some sort of stepping in. Look, there was groans.
A perfect storm.
You know,
Perfect storm.
I can outgrown that joke because I was gonna say it's better than a human Walmart.
That's a thinker.
I will take your courtesy applause.
That's one of those ones that you don't groan until you get home, and then you go, oh, what were you doing?
Not only were there groans, but I looked out there and someone wasn't groaning, they were just going silently.
That's even worse. The silent groan.
No.
To me, I have this weird thing with my hearing where that actually sounds like applause to me.
That's awesome.
So, Human Target.
All right, so Human Target. So we saw the pilot. Jeff, you're the resident comic book guy. What did you think of Human Target?
It feels like a very old-fashioned show. It feels like those shows I used to watch when I was a kid, like Fall Guy and
Yeah.
Thunder in Paradise.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Gotta go with
I tricked
Hulk
you
Hogan.
into admitting you watched.
Those
wanted to
action
vote.
adventure shows. There's a show what was it called with Phineas Bogg? Does anybody know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, time.
Voyagers.
Voyagers.
Yeah.
God, I loved that show when I was a kid.
Oh,
You know,
dude, I
or like
loved it.
Knight Rider. It feels
MacGyver.
like those old shows
Yeah.
where, and even more so, I think, in this, where they're really trying to give you an action movie every week. A different hour-long action movie every week.
Yeah.
And I think in this pilot, they really tried to show, yeah, we're going to compete with the big-budget action movies. There's a big action set piece, and there's a long fight sequence.
With Mark Valley, who really can handle the martial arts. That's one of those examples. And because we saw that right before we saw V, which is when I was like, oh.
Yeah. I actually thought that fight choreography was great.
Yeah, me too.
Unfortunately,
So
a
did
lot
that
of
guy.
the show feels like those old shows in that it feels very contrived and in very old-fashioned in that like the setup is so the setup and the lines are very wink at the camera line, you know, which it's like Magnum PI. That's a perfect example, you know. I didn't love it, and I don't know if I would watch it. It feels a little low rent. Like I was saying last week with Merlin, it feels a little bit like that, but
Okay.
you know, it had a certain charm.
All right.
And I love Jackie Earl Haley.
Yeah.
Everything he did in the show was so great. He had the best lines and the best. And it's like those old-fashioned shows like Quantum Leap, where there's the guy who sits in the office and does the cool stuff, and the dude who's out in the field.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, you gotta get me out of here, you know, that kind of thing. Anyway,
That's a good point.
It's good. It's good. That was a good line that he did.
I pretty much agree. V was a sigh of relief after seeing. I said V was very TV-y. This was like
TV.
really TV. It was the production design was so clean and hokey, and like the doors of this like new train were like these weird
They look like
edges,
new doors.
No, it was just really tacky and bad. And it's hard. Sometimes we feel guilty ragging on a TV show for that kind of stuff. But I'm right now watching the first season of Alias, and that show is 7 years old or something. I don't know, and it still holds up.
Yeah,
I mean, the
production
production
value
design still is far superior. So that is a creative thing, not a technical thing. But I do think there are some really good ideas. The moment where, to get away, they go into the air ducts, Die Hard style, and then the bad guy is also in the air ducts, and they're like, well, I guess we gotta fight in the air ducts, and there's like no room.
Yeah.
And the fight sequence is hands down the best fight sequence ever in a TV show, and would go up against, maybe not as good as like a Bourne Ultimatum, but better than a Transporter fight sequence. I mean, you know, almost every TV show before now, and like I said, I'm rewatching Alias, and I know, Jeff, you're watching Buffy, and it is. He doesn't agree with that, but it is
yet.
Sarah Michelle Gellar or Jennifer Garner, and then dude wearing a wig, and then Sarah Michelle Gellar, you know.
yes, very much so.
Yeah, and this is not that at all. This was incredible. So I think there were some fun things in it, but there's some pretty gnarly things as well. So.
Well, this is a procedural action adventure, so of course I fucking loved it. Because that's just me and how I roll. Yeah, I really dug it. I mean, for me, I can forgive so much on TV just because I'm like, I just want to see stories with crazy stuff happening about speeding trains.
Alex
I don't
loves
care.
his stories.
I love me some stories. I'm not here to learn anything about people or things. I just want to see somebody get kicked places. So I really dug it. I had the same sort of like, the production value is a little like, oh, okay, well, hopefully if it gets picked up and there's some buzz, it'll get a budget. But, Jackie Earl Haley, whatever, freaking awesome. Loved him. And the guy from Pushing Daisies, like, you can't.
Well, he's playing the exact same role, sadly, that he was in Pushing Daisies.
Yeah, but he was great in Pushing Daisies. He was great. It's a great
It's
role.
the exact same role without the fun and charm. It's just the like gruff.
I will tell you, this is what I think is going to happen with this show, and where I'm excited that it's going to go to, is that the superhero elements are going to start coming out. In the first pilot, you see clearly a specific guy, and then you look away and look back, and it's clearly not the guy that you were looking at. So something happened there. I don't think that was just like,
It's called an edit.
oh, is that why he moved? I was like, he was over there like 2 seconds ago. What a great editor. So I think that they're going to get into that element of the story, and I think that's just going to raise it up big time. But I mean, that's what I do. So anyway, TV at Comic-Con.
All right, so we are at Comic-Con, which means we need to talk some comics. We love comics. Sadly, Dan trapped us in Hall H for the entire Comic-Con. And
Well, we got to see some stuff about comics.
Yeah, we got to see some interesting comic book adaptations in the movies, which is cool. But I want to talk about one thing that was announced here that, for a lot of people, is probably the biggest announcement in a long time. Yeah. Does anybody know the name Marvelman? Do you guys know the name Marvelman?
I actually think I did own one of those.
Is he made out of marble?
No.
Marvel.
I'm just kidding. No, I have not heard of
Marvelman or Miracle Man. Yeah. I would really suggest everybody, the iFanboy guys, I think Ron took off to start the party.
The meetup, yeah.
But I highly suggest checking out the iFanboy guys. Just did a great episode, very prescient actually, about Marvelman, and it's one of those superhero comic books that was done in the early '80s, and it's some of the earliest work of Alan Moore and some of the earliest work of Neil Gaiman.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, two guys who went on to do some of the most impactful comic books ever.
Yep.
And this is a famously mired in legal controversy, legal dispute, really, character. And so there was these run of this character put out by a company that doesn't exist anymore, and the rights were argued over, and a lot of people claimed that they had them, and so they've been out of print for years and years and years, and they kind of fell into the stuff of legend because a lot of people couldn't get a hold of it and couldn't read it. And it's very interesting. iFanboy guys got a hold of the whole run and talk about it. I highly recommend it. But just announced here at Comic-Con, Marvel has the rights to Miracle Man.
Wow.
They secured the rights. Which is like, this has been like 20 years of people trying to do that, and Todd McFarlane was involved. There's a lot of weird stuff happened.
Yeah.
But it's huge comic news to a very, very small group of people. And I would just throwing it out, because you guys haven't even heard of that, right?
No, I mean, that sucks that it's legally got screwed up.
Yeah. Well, we won't have to talk about it. I also want to mention, since Dennis Calero's here, there's going to be more X-Men Noir, right? Mark of Cain was announced.
Nice.
Awesome. So I'm very stoked about that. But we'll move on and talk a little bit about Kick-Ass. Yeah.
How many people here saw the Kick-Ass panel?
How many people here have read the Kick-Ass comic? Yeah.
Nice.
So Kick-Ass is a book by Mark Millar and John Romita Jr., and it is a deconstructionist superhero tale about the fantasy that I know I've had, and I can imagine a lot of people here have probably had, of actually becoming a superhero. But the way Mark Millar handled it in the comic was, if you really kind of set out to do that, and you didn't have any superpowers, and it was the real world where life's hard and people hurt you with things.
And you're wearing a costume you made.
Yeah. What would that be like? And the result is very funny and very hardcore and very violent. And it looks like they're making a movie, and interestingly, this movie does not have distribution yet.
Which was interesting.
Yeah. So we saw a lot of stuff, actually, some scenes from the movie. What did you think, Dan, of what you saw for Kick-Ass?
Well, okay. First of all, it's directed by Matthew Vaughn, who did you say that?
No, I didn't.
I tuned out. Okay.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's directed by Matthew Vaughn, who did Layer Cake, which I didn't love, but Stardust, which we all love.
All love Stardust. Yeah, most evidently.
And he was supposed to do X3, and robbed us of his comic book movie, basically, of his bringing something to a comic book movie, and I'll go into that with Kick-Ass because I really loved this stuff in Kick-Ass. I didn't read the comic, but I do tend to find Mark Millar stuff similar to some of Garth Ennis's stuff to be vulgar for vulgar's sake,
Sure.
and crass and not.
Did he do The Boys? Who did The Boys?
No, that's
Garth
Garth Ennis.
Ennis.
Oh, that was Garth Ennis.
But, anyway. So, but I thought this was really funny and really well done. And I think what helped it was that Matthew Vaughn and notably his cinematographer took it very seriously. It doesn't look like one kind of comic book movie, which is Dick Tracy, and it doesn't look like, it's not a comic book movie, but it's not handled like Mystery Men, which is almost a similar premise in a way, deconstructionist.
Yeah, I mean, that's a world where everyone has superpowers rather than the other way around. But
it's just taken tonally very seriously, despite off-the-wall humor.
Right.
But
it's almost
not,
like Quentin Tarantino's superhero movie.
I would say more tame than that. Not quite as stylized. A little. No, the violence up there, but it wasn't like Dutch angle on violence,
right.
And it wasn't. Just the shooting of it was more like David Fincher style. Matthew Vaughn is also that in control of the camera and the look of the movie, like that. So I ate it up, and I think it got a standing ovation. So
Yeah.
I have a feeling you ate it up too, right, Alex?
I did eat it up. There was a girl that was killing people. She was like 9, and she's like this sweet little girl, and she literally did amazing things. And it was like, I want to see. I would see just her movie. You know what I mean? Like, and then you add in this like, God, heart in the right place, guys who just aren't gonna be those guys, but they're trying. Sort
It's
of like.
kind of the super bad of superheroes.
It is, and it's actually got McLovin in it.
Yeah.
McLovin. That was so very precise. Are you the one they call McLovin? So yeah, I think it's going to be hysterical. I think it's going to be gory. I think it's going to be fun and out there. I'm excited. That actually may be the thing that I couldn't think of in the movie section. I probably would love to see Kick-Ass right now.
Yeah, I'd like to describe a sequence that we saw to you. There's this wonderful moment where this lovely 9-year-old girl is standing in this kind of
Corey.
yeah,
Like a rock
in a wide open space, and her father, played by Nicolas Cage, very lovely sweater vest wearing, mustachioed, bespeckled gentleman standing there, couldn't be sweeter and more kind to his daughter, and explains to her that he is going to shoot her in the chest with a gun. And she's like, Dad, really? Do I have to be shot in the chest? And he's like, honey, we talked about this. At this distance, it's basically no different than getting punched in the chest really hard. You're wearing a bulletproof vest, you're gonna survive, and I want you to not be afraid when you're confronted with a similar situation in life.
And she's like, but I don't want to get punched in the chest.
Yeah. Dad, but it's very sweet, and it's like a wonderful little moment between father and daughter. And then he's like, honey, and he pulls out a gun and shoots her, and she gets knocked off her ass and falls on the ground. And it is shocking and incredible and hilarious.
And hysterical.
And that tone, that just a half step off of reality, but in and this is a father who's going to turn his daughter into Batman.
Yeah.
Basically,
Yeah.
by toughening her and making her not afraid of anything.
Yeah.
It's such a brilliant idea, and hearing Mark Millar on the panel that we saw talk about how basically the idea came when he wanted to write something sweet for his little daughter.
Yeah, he went to see a movie. What was the last thing he did?
He wrote Wanted, right? And he saw the movie Wanted, and his daughter
She
couldn't
wanted
see
to go,
that.
and he was like, "That's okay, sweetie. I'll write something for you that's just for you, and you can see it."
And of course, this came out, which she can't see. This came out of him, and it's so over the top and violent and of his style that he couldn't show it to her. But it's that idea that really this comes from a really sweet place that is so appealing to me, I think.
You know what? And thinking more about it too, I think you are right with the Quentin Tarantino reference. I'm gonna.
Awesome.
Ah,
Another convert. Feel free to agree with me more.
I love it. Love it.
Yeah, I was really excited when I saw the footage, and I think it's going to be great. And the cool thing was they was like, we're only showing you stuff from the first act of the movie, which is, I really respect that.
Super cool.
The second big comic book adaptation that we saw footage for is Jonah Hex. Yeah. Which is a sort of genre-bending cowboy adventure comic, but it also has kind of elements of
The supernatural.
supernatural. That's a good way to put it.
Thank you. I try.
You know, zombies and undead and stuff kind of like that. And it's the film version stars a gentleman by the name of
Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin. Yeah.
With awesome makeup.
Yeah, it's that very iconic Jonah Hex, like weird piece of flesh thing. If people have seen it, they know what I'm talking about. And of course a girl, I don't know. People have heard of her or not. Megan Fox, eh?
Good. I like that reaction actually.
Yeah.
Anyways, they were both on the panel. We saw some Jonah Hex footage.
Yeah.
What did you think, Alex?
I thought it looked pretty kick-ass. I mean, it didn't really grab me. It was just like, hey, this is a good, cool, ass-kicking Western. Woo! Yeah.
But it really, I mean, it's more than just a Western, right? It's
genre bending. It bends some genres. But again, it's like, okay, so it's like cool, kick-ass Western movie with like weird voodoo shit. Woo! I mean, it was cool. It was just generically cool.
And it seems like a movie you would really be excited about, no?
No.
Okay.
I mean, maybe it seems that way, but I mean, it was just like I watched it and I was like, cool, that looked awesome. Yes. Oh, okay, cool. You threw that thing and it hit that guy. Oh, awesome. Shotgun. You know what I mean? But there was nothing in it that really got me like, this is an interesting world and I'm excited to experience it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because we just played Call of Juarez and I was like, oh, cool. It's like Call of Juarez with zombies. Let's watch that movie, I guess.
Dan?
It's interesting because this is a comic book that I tried to get into and couldn't. And it didn't make sense to me at the time because it's all the things that I love. It's genre bending, and it's genre bending with a Western, which is Big Trouble in Little China, Firefly, Star Wars, Assault on Precinct 13. You know, it's like right up my alley and to the left, which is a dark place you don't want to visit.
I know a website that you can go to.
Right up my alley and to the left.com.
So, but I was curious what I think of this trailer footage, basically. And I was also very skeptical that the director was this guy, Jimmy Hayward, who was an animator guy. I think he was a Pixar animator.
Oh, interesting.
And I thought it looked spectacular. I thought it looked really good. I get your hesitancy. It didn't blow me away. Which still puzzles me because, like I said, this is blending all the genres that I love. I love that Josh Brolin is going to be an anti-hero and he's saying really badass lines and he's going to be Kurt Russell in this movie.
Agreed.
But what I did realize is that I always have a prejudice towards these animation. When I hear a guy, you know, Mark Osborne did Kung Fu Panda, and I forget what movie he's up for. Now, does anyone remember? I forget that. He's doing a heavy metal thing, a sequence in the heavy metal movie. I forget. Andrew Stanton, who did Wall-E, is doing John Carter of Mars, and I always feel like scared. And I'm realizing I shouldn't be, because every time I finally see the proof of concept, it's badass. And it's a shame that I have that prejudice. I think a lot of people had that. Oh, he's just a Pixar guy. We thought we were going to get, because it was originally going to be Neville, Dean, and Taylor, the guys who did Crank and Gamer coming out. So.
Thank goodness we dodged that bullet.
Yeah, I agree.
Many bullets, actually, I think, very fastly shot at us.
What did you think? And you're now just getting into spaghetti westerns.
This is true. This is true.
So,
this movie doesn't feel like a Western so much, you know? I got a little bit of the uh-oh feeling with the stuff we saw, I got to admit. I really wanted to be excited for it, but I came away thinking it looked a little bit too much like Ghost Rider, the movie.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, groans, I know.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I felt. It looked like it was trying to be cool comic book movie, but maybe it was just what we saw, and maybe it was the fact that I had been in that room seeing so many different things. I mean, we didn't even get a chance to talk about Book of Eli and so many other things we saw that were
Disney stuff and Ponyo. We're gonna talk about it in later
Yeah.
episodes because
And again, I'll mention Where the Wild Things Are, which landed on me in a way that is difficult to explain. It just seems like such a special experience.
And you didn't get that vibe from this crazy shoot 'em up Western vendor?
No. And I meant to say this in the movie segment, but I might as well say it now. Is something that's very special about Comic-Con, I think, seeing what we saw, is that you not only get to see all this stuff early, but having the people there on the panel, you really get to see. There are some people that come out, and you can just tell they love what they're doing, and they love movies, and they love. They're really passionate about this project, and and then there's the other people that this is a press thing for them to do, right?
Right.
And it's palpable. And when I saw some of the stuff we saw, there was that energy of, wow, man, I'm excited because I get to be around these people in a way. I get to be watching a film made by these people and their energy. And I did not get that at all, even though they kept talking profusely about how excited they were and how this is the most exciting thing they've ever done. I didn't get that from.
they were a little snarky. Josh Bowen was a little snarky.
Yeah, a little snarky.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with snark. Nothing wrong with snark.
So,
Actually, I think there's a lot wrong with Snark.
All right, a little wrong.
I recommend.
but snorks are great.
I recommend David.
No, I was just looking for something. It's
a completely random thing, but I'll say it. I highly recommend. David Denby wrote a book called Snark, and I highly recommend it. It'll open your eyes about
Snarky.
About Snarky. Yeah.
I'm just leaning over.
I didn't even know we were doing that.
Here we were.
All right, before we finish out this amazing Comic-Con, do you guys have fun at Comic-Con? Yes! Oh, I think that woke me up. Woo!
Thank you all for coming, man. This has been amazing.
Very much. But before we sign off, we do need to thank people who make it possible for us to even continue making this show for you. Amazing sponsors like Squarespace. How many people here use Squarespace?
Yeah.
All right. How many people here want to use Squarespace? All right, I'll take it. If you haven't checked it out, Squarespace hosts all of our sites. The multi-platinum award-winning jeffcanada.com.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have heard the latest about this.
There's latest news?
Have you guys heard this? There was someone who was on my site at jeffcanada.com.
Yes.
I don't know exactly what happened. The details are just coming out, but evidently, as they logged onto my site, stricken with superpowers.
Stricken?
Yeah.
Stricken with superpower out of nowhere.
They have the power to make awesome websites via Squarespace.
You almost sound like you put like a little Mexican
Running
flag in there. I'm so glad I'm in the
even
middle
with
of that.
them, we couldn't get that
I know,
insane.
terrible at that.
Seriously, you need a car running gag. No, if you haven't checked out Squarespace.com, you gotta go check out Squarespace.com. These guys are amazing. By far the best WYSIWYG editor on the internet, in my opinion. IMO, IHMO, whatever. IMMO. So head over to Squarespace.com if you have any idea for a website and you want to get it off the ground quick and easy, super cheap, and if you use the coupon code TRS when you check out, you save 10% off the entire lifetime of your website. Come on, crazy time.
Awesome.
Squarespace.com.
I also want to talk to you about iVerse Media. That is a cool way to, Foobs loves it. It's a cool way to read your comics.
Catchphrase.
Online.
iVerse Media. Foob loves it.
They have, I'm just getting this right now, so I'm gonna have to refer to my notes, but they're releasing 3.0 version of their software, and it's gonna have an enhanced reading experience. So all the stuff that you've bought for your iPhone, the comics that you've bought through iVerse for your iPhone are gonna work with the new software, but they're also going to have a way to integrate all the stuff that you would wanna buy and watch on your phone or read on your phone, comics on your phone, in a completely new way, and it's really cool. You can find out all about it at www.iversecomics.com.
Epic.
Yeah, check it out.
iVerse, I love it.
It's great. It really is
comics.
cool.
I know you.
It's
you
a
looked
perfect
at it
way to
before.
read. I mean, I'm looking at my iPhone right now. It's a perfect way to read comics on your phone.
Epic. Dan, do you like sponsors?
Love sponsors.
Love it.
Specifically, GoDads. swap the D, put in an N.
Flip it and it's my name. What?
GoDaddy.com has who here has never bought a domain using GoDaddy?
Awesome. Almost one hand.
The camera didn't see those hands. No one raised their hand. GoDaddy.com.
We don't sell out at all.
You can buy domains as low as $1.99. They have easy-to-use startup software, and it's really good. It's a really cool way to buy domains and run websites.
How many
we're
people
propped
have
out,
not used our sponsor?
There was I wanted to prove that there would be crickets, and there were crickets.
Yeah, those crickets were like, I haven't.
Man, those people are in for
Oh,
us.
so if you go to revision3.com/GoDaddy, you can get tons of different codes to,
Super cool codes.
to get GoDaddy discounts.
Awesome. Also, who here purchased the Season 1, Season 2 intros DVD?
Yeah.
Couple people. The
I did.
intros DVD is out and available. revision3.com/TRS-DVD. So I was sort of hoping that nobody was going to stop me and be like, yeah, that's the right one. Oh, good.
No one did stop you. It's cool, man. It's all the first 2 years of our intros made by us and Steve, and it's got for Steve.
It's got audio commentary through all of the intros by the three of us and also Steve on their separate audio tracks, so you can listen to what we went through and then what he went through, which were two sometimes completely different experiences.
That's the level of effort.
Yeah.
And other stuff too, other little knickknacks. Also,
Paddywhacks, too.
You know what we should mention too is these guys are really having a good time, I hope, at this live show. We will be doing another live show at PAX.
Something. We're going to be doing something at PAX, a panel at PAX.
So come to PAX.
If you want to come to PAX, or if you're coming to PAX, or if you're thinking about coming to PAX, we're
Come to
gonna be at
PAX.
Yeah.
All right, people. Well, that is it for this Comic-Con edition of the Totally Rad Show. I'm Alex Albrecht.
I'm Jeff Canada.
I'm Dan Trachtenberg.
We will see you next week.
Thank
you for coming.
Three rad guys living normal lives are recruited by a team of super spies. Their missions classified, but you may surmise they battle evil by quoting movie lines. Game and TV guides are used like knives to quell the rise of demon samurais. We know it sounds contrived, but we tell no lies. It's as the name implies, the Totally Rad Show.
This is the pre-game. I'm scared.
The Totally Rad Show.